mynews.studio.
10 new marine reserves have just been added to the map. The question is, can these ocean sanctuaries really help slow down climate change?
Today is June 16th, 2025. 10 new marine reserves announced in just 1 week. That's quite a leap. What's behind this sudden surge?
It's really about the global 30 by 30 target, protecting 30% of the world's land and oceans by 2030. Right now, only 8.3% of the ocean is protected. To reach 30%, the world would need to create 85 new coastal marine protected areas every single day until 2030. Does that sound feasible to you?
85 a day? That's almost hard to picture. But why is the push happening now? Is it driven more by biodiversity concerns, or is climate change the main reason?
It's both, really. Oceans are under a lot of pressure, from overfishing, habitat loss, warming waters. These reserves aren't just for protecting species. They also support local economies that rely on healthy fisheries. Plus, they store carbon in what's called blue carbon ecosystems. Think mangroves and seagrass.
Let's get specific. French Polynesia's new reserve is enormous, right? Nearly 5 million square kilometers. That's basically their entire exclusive economic zone?
Exactly. And of that, 1.1 million square kilometers are now highly or fully protected. The rest is managed with restrictions. They've banned deep-sea mining, put limits on certain kinds of fishing, and brought in traditional Polynesian conservation methods, like the rahui, which is a temporary fishing ban to let stocks recover.
So, is this approach unique to French Polynesia, or are other countries doing something similar?
A bit of both. Israel just added 2 new marine national reserves, which brings their protected marine areas up to 6%. Sierra Leone is aiming for 30% protected marine zones by 2030, and they're planning to restore 30,000 hectares of mangroves. The Solomon Islands went even bigger, creating a 274,000 square kilometer no-take zone. That's about the size of France.
And in the Caribbean, small island states are working together on a regional 30 by 30 plan. So it's not just individual countries, it's turning into real regional cooperation.
Right. There's also Colombia protecting new areas in the Caribbean, Australia pledging to make 30% of its waters highly protected by 2030, Chile expanding high seas protections, Greece adding marine parks in the Ionian Sea, and the Marshall Islands confirming sanctuaries covering nearly 500,000 square kilometers.
But is this just about drawing lines on a map, or is there actual enforcement and management happening behind the scenes?
Enforcement is a huge piece. Take French Polynesia. They're following international standards, setting clear objectives, putting legal frameworks in place, and making sure resources are there to enforce the rules. They're targeting things like deep-sea mining and trawling. Plus, scientists monitor the reserves to track recovery. International groups, like the MPA Guide, help evaluate how effective the protections are.
How are local communities affected by these new protections? Some fishers must be losing access, at least at first, right?
Yes, in the short term, restrictions can be tough for local fishers, but evidence shows that well-managed reserves actually help fish populations bounce back, which leads to more catches around the edges. Plus, they can create new jobs in ecotourism and research. Many reserves are using traditional management and working directly with communities to help with the transition.
What about funding? Setting up and running these reserves must cost quite a bit.
Funding comes from several places. Major philanthropic organizations, like Bloomberg Philanthropies, Blue Nature Alliance, and the Bezos Earth Fund, are supporting with money, technical help, even training. Governments are involved too. For example, Germany pledged 400 million euros for marine conservation. Transparent reporting and international standards are in place to help track how effective this funding is.
And there's a push to include indigenous and local knowledge in management. How much of a difference does that make?
It's actually vital. In French Polynesia, for instance, traditional practices like the rahui are central to the management plan. That makes conservation more locally relevant and accepted, which leads to better compliance and, over time, more lasting success.
So in summary, 10 new reserves, international collaboration, indigenous leadership, and a global push for 30% ocean protection by 2030. But can the world really keep up this pace?
That's the big unknown. The targets are ambitious and the challenges are real. But these new reserves show what's possible when governments, local communities, and the private sector actually work together.
Oceans regulate climate, provide food, support life. Protecting them isn't just about the environment, it's about people's futures too.
If this momentum holds, we could see a genuine turnaround for the world's oceans.
Thanks for joining us as we explored what these new marine reserves mean.
Stay curious, stay informed. These ocean stories matter to all of us.
Thank you for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. Try it now for free.